We have some V-Class product that some of you may have heard about. I have some one-of-a-kind customs. Over on this side, we have more of our production models and different tone woods on this side. And of course, you guys have been to Replay before, so you know they've got an incredible room back there with a ton of tailors and our man Dave and Kent and everybody here at Replay. So I want to thank you for being here tonight. A little bit of a roadmap. What we're going to do is we're going to have kind of an educational session. We're going to start with my buddy right here, Kenny Etchison. Give him a round of applause. He's our artist for tonight. World traveler that you are. Yes, man of many talents. We're going to start with the body shapes and take you through the different varieties of body sizes and shapes that Taylor has. And then we're going to go through our tone woods and how that affects the tone once you choose the shape. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our new V-Class architecture and bracing. We call that the new Sonic engine. And then after that, we're going to have a demonstration of our acoustic electric T5Z product, which I'm going to set you up here, pal. He's going to blow you away with that. And then hopefully you've all signed in at the front, and we're going to have a few giveaways. We got a couple t-shirts and just some goodies. And then y'all get to buy some guitars, right? Yeah, we're going to buy some guitars. So a couple questions before we get started. How many have been to a Roadshow before? Ooh, only about half. Okay, great. Another question. How many own a Taylor guitar? All right. Important question. How many own multiple Taylor guitars? Okay, sales guys, the ones that didn't raise their hands, we call that a target-rich environment, okay? We're going to have some fun tonight. So, again, thank you for being here. Let's talk about Taylor. Taylor started in the mid-'70s with Bob and Kurt. As you know, if you've done some research on Taylor, and of course, if you're a Taylor owner, Bob started out in a little garage, one type of room building with Kurt. And Kurt had his Volvo station wagon in the 70s driving around the country. In fact, even today, as I visit some of our dealers in the Great North area and all around, they often ask about Kurt. They go, you know, I was selling Taylors when Kurt was driving by with his Volvo station wagon. And in those days, he'd sell, you know, maybe one guitar a month, and that was awesome. Well, Taylor has really grown into the great company that it is today, especially being very earth conscious. We like to build our guitars in a sustainable way. So if you've done any, checking out online any of our YouTube videos, we just released another series of videos from Earth Day. Not only is Taylor a great manufacturer and an artisan company, but we really care a lot about the environment and about the earth and replanting of the trees and the forests, and especially with our Krilikam forest and in Africa, Krilikam, Africa, where our ebony comes from. We'll talk about that later. But let's get into it, okay? We're gonna start with body sizes and shapes right here. This is a grand auditorium. This is probably our most popular guitar. We like to start with this. We call this the Swiss Army knife of body shapes. This is a design that Bob Taylor came up with basically because he was talking to a lot of musicians and what are you looking for in a body shape? What kind of sounds do you want to get? What do you want the feel to be like? As we go through these different body shapes, what I want you to look at and what we're going to point out is the size of the lower bout, how that changes, and how the waist pinches in and pinches out, I don't know if that's right, but pulls out, and that does affect the tone and the EQ of each guitar. So for the purpose of us doing the body shape size of the presentation tonight, we're going to use rosewood back and sides, okay, and a spruce top to kind of keep it all the same for our bass line. The thing about the Grand Auditorium, again, we call it the Swiss Army knife. of guitar sizes. It responds very well if you're aggressive and digging in. However, Kenny will demonstrate, even with a light touch, it's got a nice response and a full tonal response, low to high. So, Kenny, over to you.
Thanks. So throughout the whole acoustic segment of the Taylor Roadshow, I'll be going through a Rode M5 condenser mic, which is about $100 pencil condenser. You can get it anywhere. It's pretty nice and flat EQ-wise, and I'm going to try to position myself the same way as much as possible so you guys could have an even comparison. So here's the 714 CE. Thank you.
All right, see how that responded very nicely to a soft and an aggressive picking style. Now that was anything ending in a 4, Grand Auditorium. Now we're going to move up to a Grand Symphony, and this is anything ending in a 6. Notice the difference in the lower bout. A little larger here, and the waist is pulled out just a little bit. So this is, I don't want to set up the listener, but you're going to hear definitely a difference in this. And again, this is a different stain, but it is a rosewood back and sides.
So here's the 714 again, hitting it quite hard. Okay, so it's 714. Same thing on the 716 now. Do you guys hear the difference? Yeah, what do you guys hear? Louder, deeper? Yeah, you guys are all right, yeah. Correct. You guys, well, for any guitar, not just acoustic, but electric guitar as well, I feel like it's like a conversation when I first pick up any guitar. It tells you how to play it instantly. So whenever I play a Grand Symphony, and I strike a chord, it tells me, oh yeah, you could hit it harder. Oh yeah, more. Or if I play like a more of a parlor style guitar, a smaller guitar, if I strike it super hard, the guitar is like, oh, no, I don't do that, sorry. Just play softer finger style, please. And you go, okay, sure. And that happens. So, yes, if you're more of a hard picker, if you play with a thick pick like me, I play a 2mm-esque pick with a quite heavy-handed. And if you play primarily a rhythm roll in your band or your group, Grand Symphony is a perfect body shape for you for that particular reason.
Okay. Now, the Grand Symphony is also known as the Big Bold Strummer, and as you noticed, it responded very well to a light touch. And again, when you dig in aggressively, it'll just take it as far as you want to take it. The next one in our body shape and size is called a Grand Concert. This is anything ending in a 2. Now, in this guitar, again, this was a specific design from Taylor. Notice, here, it's definitely more pinched in at the waist. It's definitely a smaller lower bout, and also the thickness is definitely slimmer. This particular model we have here is one of our most popular designs. It is a 12 fret. Has anybody played a 12 fret instrument before? I don't know why, but in the last year, 12 fretted instruments have become increasingly popular for musicians to add to their toolkit. Not only that, a 12 fret instrument is also well inclined to be very comfortable to those that might be smaller in stature, or like myself, I have a little bit, I'll admit it, I have some arthritis in my left elbow there a little bit. So you're not reaching all the way down in first position. You barely even have to move your arm like this. And also in a 12 fret, let's do it this side. Notice that the bridge is moved down a little farther into the lower bout, thus giving you a little more oomph on the low end, but not sacrificing anything. So what we have here is a very punchy guitar in the grand concert. It records extremely well. Being that it is a smaller body shape, it doesn't have all those large overtones and what we call pushing a lot of air. It doesn't push a lot of air off the stage. It's a very focused tone. So engineers, front of house guys, they love folks that are playing this. And specifically, if you're playing with multiple acoustic guitar players, if you do have a grand concert, it helps you jump out of the mix in a very focused way. Okay, Kenny.
So I'm going to do a light finger style on the Grand Symphony, and we're going to compare that to the Grand Concert 12 fret. Okay? Okay, so that was the Grand Symphony, finger picked. Now to the Grand Concert 12 fret. It's louder, right? Yeah, it's very focused. Since the Grand Symphony is a bigger body shape, it's got a bigger top. Volume comes from here, the top. So if you want the guitar, especially for the Grand Symphony, to reach its maximum volume, you have to really hit it hard with either with the pick or with your fingertips. So why was this louder? Because when it doesn't require that much power to let that top to resonate and to move. So I don't have to really pick super hard on my picking hand or strumming hand, which allows me to relax more, which allows me to focus more, and it kind of evens out all the volume and the compression, natural compression that comes from the top. So if you relax, you'll play better. If you play better, you get paid half the time, most of the time. Yay, and we all love money, right? I have a 12 fret Grand Concert myself, and it's my favorite Taylor of all, because, I mean, I'm sort of a taller dude, and I don't have that long of a finger, but It doesn't matter. It's just really comfortable. When you're sitting in a studio for hours and hours, you don't want a big guitar for that because it's just you get tired. Or if you're playing a whole gig, I did a gig where at an electric guitar player, 3 backup singers, you get the whole like 2 keyboard players, and it was a lot of sonic mess happening. And the grand concert was so focused, the sound man didn't have to do anything because it was just right there. So I was his favorite guitar player in there, and the whole gig. Yes, it is. 23 7/8.
And in the 14 fret version, it's the same shorter scale. The only difference is the whole bridge is moved down a little bit, and you connect at the body on the 12th fret.
So by doing so, having the bridge moving down to even the lower part of the lower bout, you get that lower mid-range back from that.
If you get a chance to play a 12 fret, if you haven't, I really encourage you to do it. It's very popular, and I'm lucky to actually have one here. All right. Well, here's a familiar shape. How many people started out on a guitar that looked like this body shape? How about all of us? Here's a trick question. How many hit songs were written on a guitar that looks like this? How about all of them? Okay. Obviously, this is a dreadnought. This is our version of the dreadnought. Anything ending in a 0, like a 710, a 610, an 810. And we've been talking about the lower bout here, and we've been talking about the waist. Obviously, the tonal difference with a dreadnought is going to be quite a bit. The waist is pulled out extremely far. You've got a expanded lower bout here, which is really going to increase that EQ on the low end. And of course, this guitar, I mean, it's a great bluegrass guitar. It takes up a lot of sonic space. So if you're, if you like something high on the waist, or you're playing by yourself, or you're with a few other cats in the band, this will be a dynamic center position kind of guitar. And we can really immediately hear the difference here.
Okay, so here's the dreadnoughts. Lots of air, lots of volume. So for the past 3 body shapes, we've been listening to more of a Taylor-centric body shape, right? And more of a pinched-in waist. By widening the waist, you're bringing back this part of the frequency of the guitar, right? The mid-range. Think of this as an EQ curve. This is the lows, and this is the highs, and this is the mids. So you're bringing that back. So you remember, whenever you see like a bluegrass player, right, play guitar, they play around the bridge, right? You know why? Because that's when you bring out more of the treble and the high mids, even the mid-range, where this part of the guitar comes out, where it really cuts through the mix. When you want to cut through the mix with the band, what do you need to raise? Not the treble or the bass, it's the mid-range. The uglier the mid-range, the better you'll sound and be heard. And that's just kind of a lesson itself in a way. So, like, so if I play like it, that ain't no bluegrass, right? That's that sound. Something like that. Or like the best of. That nice rock and roll tone as well. Thank you.
You wrote that in the hotel room last night, right?
Yeah. I'm still working on the title.
Are we having fun yet? Come on, are we having fun yet? All right. This is our Taylor's largest body shape. It is anything ending in an 8, the Grand Orchestra. Some of you certainly know the term jumbo guitar. This is our version. However, in the Taylor guitar world, Andy and Bob have really played with the X bracing. We are going to talk about V bracing coming up next, but they have just enhanced and enhanced and enhanced. And even though this is a large, big guitar, it can take a lot of aggressive action on it. It still responds very, very well to a light touch.
Thank you. So here's the Grand Orchestra strummed. Tons of volume. And as you can see, the mid-range is a little bit kind of tucked down because of that pinched-in waist. So it's back to that Taylor-centric signature sound. So you hear that fullness coming out from the Grand Orchestra when I'm striking with the pick. Here's with the thumb. It still retains that low end. So when you play with the finger style of playing, it sort of reacts like a grand concert now, even at this big body shape. So here's a little fingerstyle piece. Thank you.
You wouldn't expect that, right? Out of such a large-shaped guitar.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What's up, dude?
All right. Hey, boys. Some of our partners here from Taylor are visiting as well. All right, that's it for the body shapes and sizes. Let's go into tone woods a little bit. There's basically 3 major types of wood in tone woods that guitar's been made out of, and that would be mahogany, rosewood, and maple. So the first one we're going to talk about is mahogany. This is mahogany top, back, and sides. What is the tonal characteristic of mahogany? Well, let me back up one step. Part of what Taylor likes to do when helping folks pick out guitars, we call it find your fit. The first thing you do is you find the body shape and size that most fits you, that you feel comfortable playing. And then you want to add, like layers on the cake, you want to add some spice to it and some different sugars. And that is how you're going to affect the tone of that body size. And that comes into play with tone woods. So how many people here know what a graphic EQ is? Anybody? Great. Well, in a mahogany guitar, think of a sunset. We call them affectionately hogs. A mahogany guitar is going to have a boosted mid-range, which means it's going to be a meaty mid-range boost. So it's going to jump out of the mix, and Kenny mentioned earlier, you know, if you want to be heard really good, you boost that mid-range. Compresses the high and the low just a little bit. A definite tonal characteristic if you're looking for that kind of sound, or you want to add that sound to your toolkit with multiple guitars.
Okay, so for the past 5 body shapes, we've been listening to rosewood back and sides, and spruce tops. This is all mahogany, so maybe just strike a chord. Really warm, right? Very woody, so to speak. It's a technical term, by the way, woody. It sounds woody. It's very brown. Yeah. Doesn't have much low end, not much top end, but it's got that nice warm mid-range that you just feel at home. Especially when you play with your fingers, it really brings out the woodiness from the guitar. So if you're playing some like bluesier stuff, like right, get that nice bluesy tone from it. So if you like that, if you play more of an Americana style or traditional blues style playing that goes that kind of stuff, this is the tone wood to start.
Okay, quite a difference on that, right? Yeah. Now we're going to go back to rosewood, which was the back and sides we were doing with our body shapes. The thing about rosewood, what's the tonal characteristic of rosewood? Well, we went to a sunset, right? Boosted in the middle. Now I want you to turn that frown upside down, and let's go to a smiley face. A rosewood is actually, that was a good one, right?
Yeah, frown upside down.
I like it. In rosewood, you're actually going to pull those mids down a little bit. You'll hear what we call a chime or shimmer on the high end. You'll hear a little boost on the low end, but pulling out the mids and making it more of a smiley face EQ opens it up for the human voice. So if you're a singer-songwriter type, or you're backing up a singer, a rosewood back and sides is oftentimes a really good choice because you're going to accentuate the top, accentuate the low, and have that open space in the middle of your tonal equation for the human voice to take up the rest of that characteristic. Okay?
Cool. So back to rosewood. Or hear that low end and the top end, and you don't hear that woodiness, more or less. You can hear my voice a little bit cleaner now, too, because usually on a good day, my voice is more in the mid-range, if I get enough sleep. So if you're accompanying a singer or accompanying yourself, a rosewood is a good one because it has a natural low end where it just fills up that space, sonic space, during the verse, right? You don't want it to be super empty. You want that low end to kind of still cover the. You can hear that low end, and then the chorus. You hear that top end coming back, just to kind of bring it louder and just more dynamic that way. So it's a very traditional tone wood that everybody loves.
Could you hear the difference between those two real quick? Let's go to the third one. Now, the third one I mentioned is maple. Maple's been around for centuries. We know, many of you may know that bowed instruments are still made out of maple. Maple drums are really good for recording. Check out this maple. Woo! And by the way, it's for sale. The tone characteristic of maple has a really quick attack, and it has a bit of a quicker decay to it, and it's a little more subtle. So it sounds really good to record with because you get a good quick attack on it, and yet again, it's subtle, so it doesn't take up a lot of overtones in the room afterwards. So let's give this one a ride.
All right. Right, not much overtones. We could hear those, that percussiveness, the attack of each string. So if anybody play on a church every Sunday, right, leading worship, a maple is a good tone wood because when you're starting off, every song actually starts off with a guitar in church, actually. Right? If you do that, you just hear that pulse, and the drummer's like, "Oh, there you are," and comes right on one, hopefully. So maple's good for that. And also, if you play up high with a capo, let's say I'm gonna capo up to like, maybe just do the eighth fret. Why not, right? It's still nice and crisp. You don't hear that much crazy overtones. Nice and clean. It's pure. Up high. I like using capo with a maple guitar because of that particular reason. It's nice and crisp sounding. So, and it looks like this. So, come on now.
All right.
I'm gonna place it like that.
Pretty.
He's got the new V bracing yet?
We're going to get to it. All right. Well, what if I was to tell you that there is an exotic wood that has some of the characteristics of all of the above? What do you think about that, Kenny?
You're holding it right now.
I am right here. All right. Anybody know what this is? It's koa, baby.
Cowabunga.
That's right. Well, this is a beautiful artisan guitar. If you haven't played a koa or held it or looked at it or have it in your collection and toolbox, I insist. You must. Koa wood is, does anybody know where koa comes from, by the way? Huh? Yeah, it comes from the island of Hawaii, but our koa comes from 5,000 feet and up. That's where we get our koa from. And again, Bob and Taylor and Kurt being such an earth-conscious company, we also replant koa saplings. And we make sure that we reforest everywhere we go so that there's much wood for generations to come. And I think that's one of the reasons I really love being with Taylor is the earth consciousness of the company. But let's talk about the tonal characteristics. It really is a little bit of everything. It does have a really nice high-end chime to it and shimmer. It does have a well-rounded sonic lower boom to it. But one other thing about koa, it loves to be played. So the more that you play koa, it really opens up and what we call blooms and blossoms. So I'll let you tell the story about starting out the week with a koa.
Yeah. So I've done, I don't know how many roadshows. And whenever I play a koa in the beginning, it's brand new out of the factory, and it still sounds nice, but it's still tight on the low end, right? So it doesn't have much low end as a rosewood per se, naturally. But at the end of the roadshow, like the third day or fourth day, after everybody playing the koa because it sounds so cool, it really starts to break in and open up and kind of bringing that low end that even rosewood doesn't have. So it's pretty amazing how easy it opens up. Of course, you have to play the guitar. You can't just leave it in the case for years and years and hopefully it opens up. No. Just the hole in your heart by not playing it. So here's... Right, hear that low end. It's actually even more bassier than yesterday, which is kind of crazy. So what I like to do on the koa is to do some alternate tuning, because I like guitar being tuned down naturally, right? Hendrix did it, so if he likes it, good enough for me. So what I'm doing is I double drop D the E's, so those are D, and I raise the B up to C. So there it is. The tuning is D, A, D, G, C, D. Instead of Dad, Gad, It's like dad coulda, right? Hey, it's my stage, okay? I can say whatever joke I'm on to. So here's a little tune. So here's a little piece that my friend Michael wrote. Nice and big and wide, right? Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
All right. Yes, sir.
Because you're talking about how these different tones would move the air, and you would know this from your travels, is high altitude make a difference? Is there a better one if you know you're going to be at Lake Tahoe or Denver versus here?
It's more humidity than altitude. Yeah. I'd say.
And guitars will warm up to whatever environment you're in. So I wouldn't really worry about that too much. I would just think about, again, find your fit. The fit, the spice or the tonality that you like, and then the playing style of the individual. And those three things are what we use to find your fit. All right, how many here have heard of the term V-class bracing in Taylor guitars? Oh, awesome. All right, and how many do get our Wood and Steel magazine? All right, this is on the back page of our Wood and Steel magazine. This is called the K14 CE Builders Edition. And I do have some V-class here that are for sale, some that are not for sale. Certainly, Dave and Kent and the folks here can take care of you. If you are interested in a V-class, I encourage you to at least get one on order because they are coming off the line and I'm filling the orders in order of who places the order. So just a little commercial there for you. All right, let's talk about V-class. Traditional X bracing, like this, has been around since the mid-1800s. We all pretty much know that. Martin guitars. Over the years, it's been enhanced. There's been parabolic bracing. There's been scallop bracing. There's been enhanced. There's been performance bracing. All kinds of X bracing enhancements. And the folks at Taylor, Andy and Bob and everybody, have felt that they took it as far as they could and produced as much what we call horsepower out of the X bracing as possible. Another reason I love Taylor is we're a very forward-looking, kind of edgy company. And so, Andy, what can we do now? What is different? What can we do to enhance getting more horsepower? Well, he came up with V bracing. Let's talk about X first. X bracing, like this, you have 4 quadrants in an X brace guitar. And the way Bob Taylor explained it to me is, well, when you have 4 quadrants and you strum, those notes are coming off of those quadrants at slightly different speeds or microseconds. What that does is it causes a little clash of notes. Some of you that play out quite a bit might notice that you're hearing some warbling at the top end when you're playing some chords high up on the neck, or there might be some deader spots in mid, in the mid part of the neck. So let's do a little demo.
Okay.
I want everybody to clap. Okay?
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Kenny. That was awesome. Now let's clap in unison. Okay. That's kind of what happens with V-bracing. With V-bracing, there's only two quadrants of the guitar, two sides of the guitar, the top and the bottom. So those notes are coming off of the top of the guitar from either the top or the bottom in sort of a seesaw effect. Therefore, you don't have the clashing of the notes. The result in a V-brace guitar is what we call more in-tuneness, because the notes aren't clashing as much. The second part of a V-brace guitar is that, let me grab this again for demo purposes. Since the bracing is coming from the bottom of the guitar up through each side of the sound hole, it's more rigid through the center section. Well, think of a Les Paul or a solid body guitar. All wood, all rigid, from the bottom bout, all the way up through the bridge, all the way up through the strings, through the neck. You have intense, great sustain, but of course you have to amplify it. Well, in an acoustic guitar, when it becomes more rigid from the bottom, up through the sound hole, bridge, up to the strings, it is more sustain. So the second thing with a V-brace guitar is you get more in-tuneness and you get more sustain. The last thing with a V-brace guitar would be volume. Let's think about a banjo. A banjo has no wood underneath that drum head, no bracing whatsoever, right? You pluck a banjo, super loud, but no sustain. The more wood you put under that top and deaden it or brace it, the lower the volume level because the top can't vibrate as much. The less wood, of course, the more the top vibrates, the louder it becomes. With V-bracing, it's less wood under the hood, so therefore you have a louder guitar. So the ultimate result of V-bracing, again, are three things. You have more sustain, you have a louder guitar, and you have what? More in-tuneness. That's okay. Sustain too. We like that one.
Still right.
All right. Quickly on this one, this is brand new in our lineup. It is in production. You can order it. They do have them on order here for replay. I call this Andy's new little sports car. It's a K14 CE Builder's Edition, or some people refer to it as a Director's Cut. I'll quickly go over some of the accoutrements here. It's a torrefied spruce top. What torrefication means is they take that top, they put it in an oxygen-free oven and artificially quickly age it. And that makes it a little more vintage, changes the colors, changes the tonal complexity slightly. The back and sides are Koa. It doesn't quite look like that Koa. Why? Because we have a Kona hand-rubbed stain on here, a Kona coffee burst. It's absolutely gorgeous. A couple of other accoutrements, I call it soft-sided, because the sides are beveled with an armrest, so it's a very comfortable guitar. Another thing is the composition of the, we call it a silent satin finish. What that means is if some of you play a lot and you sweat maybe and you're hearing some squeak coming from the back of the neck, Andy did a chemical compound so where you don't squeak with this silent satin finish. It's really a great leap forward in finishes. The other thing that we have on this guitar are the power inlay. It has a little more blue hue to it. Some other things, but I won't go through it all. You'll have a little chance to play some of these after we conclude the presentation, but let's listen to it. Okay. There you go.
Thank
No
you.
pressure.
So, I'm going to play what is known to be a dead spot for a lot of guitars, the E note on the 9th fret G string, because where the truss rod is located, that tends to be the dead spot. You could see that on the jazz basses, like G string, 4th or 5th fret. That seems to be a lot of the dead spot for a lot of jazz basses as well, for that particular reason. So for the guitar, it's the 9th fret-ish area. So I'm going to play the E note of the G string. This is how it sounds like. And check out the sustain and the fullness. Hi.
Hi.
Still going. F sharp. Right. So I'm going to change to the B string, G sharp. And it's still loud, not plinky. Right. 12th fret. Changing to the high E. Still ringing. I'm going to go even higher. F sharp. G sharp. It's still full and loud. Then the highest B I could play on the guitar. Sustaining still. So I'm going to strike the low E and play the high B again together, which is the thickest, loudest string you can get from a guitar to the thinnest, highest fret. You hear those two notes ringing together?
No warbling.
Yeah, so. And it stays in tune. So the ultimate test, I'm going to play the artificial harmonics on the 5th fret, on the low E, A, D, G, and B, and I'm going to play the same notes on the high E string and play them together in the same pitch. So low E, 5th fret is basically the open E string, no warble. A, which is the 5th fret of B, or E string. D. Right. G, or F sharp on the 7th fret B string. G. And then the ultimate test, 5th fret B string, which is the whatever fret, infinite fret. Stays in tune. 12th fret harmonic on the E string, which is the same thing as the 17th fret B string. I can't see. That's the note. Stays in tune. So whenever I'm recording on an acoustic guitar, and if I play something up high, it tends to go out of tune, right? So you have to tune to that chord. And you play, and it's in tune somewhat, and then as you get lower, it goes out of tune, and you play something low, and you have to stop and tune to that chord again, and then punch in. I don't have to do that anymore because it's still. Right. So learn your triads. Still stay in tune. So it's pretty fascinating. So that's the V-brace. So you guys got to try it out.
All right. Could you hear that? You heard that? Nice sustain on it. And what you didn't hear is what you feel in your gut. I know those of you in the back, it might not have accelerated through the PA that well, but man, you can really feel it when you're holding it. All right, we're going to move on to the next segment here. While he's getting set up on the T5, I do want to tell you, as soon as we're done with the presentation, we're going to do some giveaways real quick, and then you all are free to come up and play some guitars, and if you feel like purchasing one of them, you can certainly talk to the folks here. Okay?
Cool.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Etchison.
Yay. Thank you. All right. Tuning is very important. That's lesson number 1. Okay, so T5Z. It was released back in 2014 at the Winter NAMM show, and it was awarded the Best Acoustic Guitar of the Year and Best Electric Guitar of the Year. How? Well, it's a full acoustic guitar, full hollow. There's no center block like a 335 or anything like that. So it's a full acoustic guitar, and then the electric part is the pickups. So it's got electric strings, electric pickups, so it becomes an electric guitar. And you could get all sorts of sound you could get from the T5Z, so I'm going to go through that. First of all, the things in the T5Z I'm going to show you is going to be the pickups. there's a neck pickup underneath the last fret. So that's the next pickup. There's 3 pickups total. Bridge pickup, it's a humbucker. There's 2 single coils on top of each other, so there's no hum, which is nice. And a body sensor underneath the top. And you could have different combinations by going through the 5 positions on the side. Okay? It's got a universal volume, bass, and treble control that is active, meaning you could cut or boost those frequencies or volume. That is universal, so you could go through all different 5 positions and still use those controls. Okay? That is powered by a 9-volt battery, which is accessible here. And then if you ever drop a pick, not to worry, you got a big pick right there. Yeah, it's still my stage. I can still say the jokes. All right. On the pedal board, this is my personal pedal board from my T5Z. It's got the tuner, chorus, overdrive, distortion, all that fun stuff, and a delay. And then that's only thing that's a little bit different is that I got this thing called the ABY box. It's basically a fancy name for a switcher. So I got 2 amps behind me. I got an electric Morgan amp right here, and then a loud box by Fishman. So that's my electric amp. And that's my acoustic amp. So I can switch back and forth. Right? And I could run both together if I wanted to. That's it. No ones or zeros, no digital modulars, and none of those nonsense. It's all analog. So I'm going to go through all 5 positions and then some. All right? And there's going to be some jokes, so you better laugh. You better laugh. Or just pretend to laugh. Position number 1, the far left, is the neck pickup and the body sensor. So it's the acoustic side of the T5Z. I'm going to move this because I don't need it. So. All right, so that's the T5Z, acoustic position number 1. So if I want more of a rosewood sort of a EQ curve, I'm going to boost the bass in treble to get that scooped mid-range. Right, get that nice low. And the highs, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to cut those low and top. I'm going to boost the volume a little bit just to get that little frown. So sort of mahogany-esque tone coming from the T5Z. So that's the acoustic segment. Now to the fun stuff. Position 2 through 5 is going to be all electric. I'm going to switch to the electric amp. So position number 1 was, again, neck pickup and the body sensor. As you can hear, if I tap so lightly, if I switch to position 2, it goes away. So it's just the neck pickup only. Right? So neck pickup on any of these cool electric guitars, warm, twangy. It's not really a Strat, of course, but it's got that neck pickup characteristics to it of an electric guitar. So I'm going to still stay in position number 2, the neck pickup. I'm going to boost the volume, boost the bass, and cut the treble, and you get this tone. Kind of a jazz box sort of tone, right? Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to cut the bass and add some treble and put some overdrive and kind of get this sound. Right, kind of a sort of a SRV sort of tone from a Taylor guitar, right? So, oh, wow, yay. Okay, moving on to position number 3. Position number 3 is the bridge pickup, right here. So, bridge pickup on an electric guitar, bright, punchy. It's got a lot of quack, a lot of bite. So, and it's really funky. cool. And then if you put some distortion and some delay, switch to acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitar. Pretty cool, right? Because what other guitars do that? They could switch to some Les Paul shredding into some acoustic guitar. Just this guitar. If you're playing in a wedding gig or a wedding band or a corporate band that requires all sorts of styles from acoustic set, oops, and then the next set, acoustic, and then the jazz set. Next part, the dance set, like a wedding gig, for example. Uh-oh. And at the end of the set, it's always this song. Now, of course, it's not going to replace your 914V class. It's not going to replace your favorite Les Paul custom. But if you're looking for efficiency and just carrying one guitar, right, and then this simple setup, efficiency, and you'll be the last one to load in and first one to load out, which is really, really nice. Because I got a wedding coming up, a wedding gig, not my wedding, wedding gig coming up on Sunday, and this is going to be my friend. It's really light too, so if you have like a 14-pound Les Paul, good luck carrying that, hauling that around for 3 hours. I've done it, and it's not fun. This is really lightweight, so that's really helpful. Moving on to position number 4. It's the neck pickup and the bridge pickup running in parallel. So I got, so meaning they're both running together, sort of out of phase. So imagine like a Gretsch middle position, right? So. I got that Gretschy sort of tone. Gretschy, that's also a technical term. Or Brian Setzery. Right? It works. Last position is position number 5, neck and bridge pickup. Again, but now in series. So parallel is running together, sort of out of phase. Series is next signal feeding the bridge pickup. So you're getting that warm tone first and then feeding the bridge pickup, which is a little bit bitier and brighter. So this is my favorite position to play the blues. So, right, you still hear that warmth. But when you're playing up high, you really hear that nice, like Duane Allman, Mike Bloomfield, right? Albert King, Freddie King, B.B. King, Stephen King. That's the only joke I still say, even though nobody laughs. But again. Right, it's nice and round and sweet. And also it's got this round radius, 12 inches, and jumbo frets. So it's good for bending too. So like if you're doing a whole step, easy, whole step and a half, no problem. And then 2 whole step, right? It's that Albertisk-esque. New strings. BB loves to do that. Likes to bend out with his first finger. you could do that on the T5. So that's all the 5 positions. But I'm going to utilize the tuner right now. Very important. Tune your guitars, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so I'm going to put a lot of reverb and chorus on the electric side. Ooh, yeah. So it's got tons of delay and chorusing effect where you can't, after the second note, you don't know what's going on. All right? It's fun, but after a while, you're like, I'm getting a little seasick. So, you bring the dry signal back. So running both amps together using the ABY box sounds like this. Right? You can still hear the... Right? So here's the last piece. A classic. Voila. So that's pretty cool, right?
Kenny Etchison, how about that, huh?
How
Come
about
on.
that? How about that?
All right.
Thank you.
Could one of you over at the counter over there hand me the enter to wins, and we'll do a couple of drawings here, fellas, on that side. The enter to win box. I think Juan, it's the white box to your left there. Thank you. So what'd you guys think? A lot of stuff we went through tonight. How many like the V class? Oh yeah.
Where's the box at? Oh, okay. Cool.
Now we have a couple of T-shirts, some lights, and some medium strings to give away. So, party assistant here. Okay. Yep. First one, Wes turn speed, turn speed. Wes, where are you? All right, come on down. Come on down. Chuck Holloway. Must be present to win, Chuck Holloway. There you are. Oh, and by the way, if you get a shirt or that's the wrong size or strings you don't like, remember, regifting is a good thing to do. Rick Sonteri. All right. Hi, Rick. Rob Crawl. Rob, come on down. Oh, another one from online. Jaime Brown. Jaime Brown. There. Jaime? Nope. Oh, more. Oh, okay. Ed Joyce. Ed Joyce. Okay. Jaime? Thank you. Joe Mendez? Menendez? Hey, all right, Joe. Thanks for coming. Hey, my name's Rodriguez. Look that up in the Miami phone book. Troy Peralta. All right, Troy. Greg Vaughter. Greg? Greg, thank you for coming. Arthur Daly. Arthur Daly around? All right, come on down, Arthur. Thank you. Oh, and you brought Joey Daly with you. Yeah. Robert Biguer. Robert, thank you. Remember, regifting is okay. All right. It looks like Chip Weiner. Chip, is that right? All right. Thank you for coming, Chip. Hunter Hamrick. Hunter, come on down. Yeah. You know, we gave away that V class before we started. I'm sorry. Angie Higgins. Angie. We like to have the ladies win. Tom Lapointe. Tom. Thank you, sir. Sam Stone. Sam Stone? He left. Must be present to win. McLean Mannix. All right. No? Okay. Teresa Mannix. I guess they both left together. Scott Coleman. All right, Scott. Come on down. Laura Ireland. All right, Laura. I saw you right up front. Thank you for coming. Yeah, and if you elect coasters, we like to give them 2 at a time. We don't like you drinking alone with that coffee or tea. Or Red Bull, if you're getting up in the morning. All right, Boone Chong. All right, Mr. Chong, thank you. Beth Ireland. Again? It's your sister. Okay. Oh, there she is. Hi. Alan Boomberg. Alan? All right. Michael Gentile. Michael, all right. Nice talking to you earlier, too. Paul Hoffman. Paul, all right. Thank you for coming. Jim Chapo. All right, Jim. Nice chatting with you. David Pratt. Hi, David. One more? Okay, last one. Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller. All right, hey, I want to just thank a round of applause for Replay here tonight for letting us come and do this. Big round of applause for Kenny Etchison, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We're going to be hanging out for a little bit. Come on up, touch some guitars, take the one that you want to go home with, but you got to pay for it. And thank you very much. We're here to answer some questions for a little bit, and the fellows will be happy to help you out. Thank you again.